Okay, hey everyone, it's Wally Dellenbach and I'm on the second leg of this repair, and this is a 6-inch Ludwig Vistalite, Black Vistalite concert tom, sent to me from Mike Maurer in Germany. And yeah, it turned out great. So there's the repair. If you saw this first segment, the break was from bearing edge to bearing edge, and it had a big chip taken out. Big chip taken out right there from one of the mounting screws for the clip mount, and it went into the seam. So it repaired great, using weld-on number 16, I believe. And yeah, it took quite a few applications, maybe 4, to get this filled out and finally buffed really nice. So it turned out perfect. You know, you just couldn't expect any better. And then here's the 4 holes. There's a hole, there's a hole that somebody might have drilled like a piece of sheet steel to it, or who knows what. But anyway, they did that to repair or hold the crack, or keep it together. So it turned out great. It buffed nicely. It just couldn't be any better. Okay. So with that, let's move in now to the final. One segment I did leave out. I used like 400 grit wet dry sandpaper, and then just go watch one of my buffing videos about how to buff. I mean, it was really simple, and the most important thing was don't get too sloppy. You know, gluing is the easy part. It's the cleanup, the sanding and the buffing, that's the hard part. That's the real work. And of course, the joy is when you put this thing back together and start playing it. It's going to be a blast. Okay. So enough about that, let's move into putting the grommet on, okay? I've got a collection of badges here over the course of my years. The tools that you need, let's talk about grommets here quickly. So this came with the original badge right here, and it had a chrome-plated brass grommet. And this grommet, of course I had to destroy the other grommet to get the badge off. As you'll recall, the badge wasn't stuck to the shell at all, and you could spin the badge around. This is a grommet that I got off a 6-ply that got sent to the boneyard. Basically, it got scavenged for parts. That's just the way of the world. Okay, so there's a chrome-plated brass one, and then there's just a plain brass one. And you can pick these up at like any drum building shop or web page. And then if you have a lathe or some kind of machinist skills, this was one that I made out of a piece of brass, and it's threaded and it's got the vent hole. And the nice thing about this is you can take it on and off, but you know, you're going to do stuff like this. I've got a couple of drums where actually I've got wrap on them, and you could take the wrap off. You could just slide the wrap off, and underneath it's just like a maple shell that's been lacquered. So you could have the best of both worlds with a vent tube like this. Okay, so let's move on. And there's, like I said, there's all my badges over the years. Blue and olive, sharp corners, rounded corners, keystones from Chicago and Monroe. Comes with the territory, I guess. Tools to use for this. I've got some high bond double-sided tape, and I use this to put on the back of the badge. And so there's the back of the badge. You just basically cut it as best as you can to the profile of the badge. And then what I did was I just used a pair of scissors and came along and cut along. Now, be careful not to cut into your badge, of course. Just be gentle. The big trick about it is you don't want any double-sided tape to exceed the perimeter of the badge, because it'll, you know, gunk up with dust and look like crap. Okay, so there's that beautiful badge, 1970s era. Okay, and it's not a fake either. That's the original badge. Boom. Now typically if you see a fake badge, how you can tell is it's the trademark or the Ludwig USA, the A kind of exceeds the understrike from the L to the G. And you'll notice something kind of fishy, how this text area where they stamp the serial numbers, it looks kind of more machined. An original badge looks more brushed, like brushed aluminum. The fake badges, and it's, you know, gosh, it's hard to classify. It's just a fake badge, meaning that it's not put on by Ludwig. It's bought somewhere else, but it has kind of more of a etched type of machine surface look to it, not brushed. So, and I think the trademark might be moved around a little bit higher. Okay, so there you go. Oops, I'm sorry. Gosh, I hate that. Dropped it on the floor. Hey, everyone. All right, badge education. Okay, so we talked about the double-sided tape, the tools. I've got an Allen wrench. I think this is a 1/4 inch machine. It's a hardened machine screw with an 82-degree angle on it, and I'm going to use that. I'm going to come in from the inside of the drum, and I'm going to use that to actually kind of bend the inside of the grommet to help clamp it into place. So let's get started. Now I did put a little bit of household oil on that to help that slip inside of the grommet. It kind of keeps the grommet from splitting, because when you start to deform this brass, if there's any kind of resistance to it, it'll start to fracture. And so with that, what I'm going to do, now you might, and I've also got some masking tape here, and I put the masking tape on the shell to give me a visual reference so that when I put the badge on, I don't put it on cattywampus, you know, so it'll be parallel to the bearing edge, this top. These are kind of visually tricky to put on sometimes, so it's always good to have a little bit of extra help visually. Okay, so I've got an Allen wrench for the screw, and then I've got a Ludwig nut tightening contraption here, and I've got a couple of washers. I've got 4 washers actually. And so let's get down to it. Dare to be great situation. Oh gosh, I failed to mention the contour. So what you want to do is always check and make sure that your badge is bent to the contour, the radius of the outside diameter of the shell, or the outside radius or contour of the shell. Okay, you want to get that as close as you can, and I did with this, so you'll see that. Okay, and once again, there's the masking tape for the visual reference, so it's nice and straight. And of course, gosh darn it, a tricky little badge. Keep dropping it. And of course, you just want to make sure on a drum that's this small, of course, I'm putting it on the right side up. So this is the bearing edge. And let's go for it. So, and I use the X-Acto knife to kind of plow out or cut out the grommet hole through the double-sided tape. So what I'm going to do here, let's get started. I'll take off this from the tape. It's a little bit tricky, I guess. Get that dude going. Okay, so there's that. It's off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip the grommet in. Now I had to cut this grommet down a little bit. As I mentioned, it was off of a 6-ply shell, so I had to shave it down a little bit because I don't want too much hanging out, too much of this grommet hanging out from the inside of the shell. Now you want to be careful here. Don't get too carried away. It's really not, the tape is somewhat forgiving. To a point. I don't want to press that badge down. The hole is kind of tight for the grommet, but it's kind of chewed up pretty bad. So at this point now what I'm going to do is I'm going to visually cue off at the top of the badge with the tape, and I'm not going to worry about how it looks compared to this or how it looks compared to that. I'm going by that tape. Okay, and now I'm going to set the badge. So I'm going to press the badge down, and I'll take the grommet back out. Well, I'll just leave it in. I was going to take it out for demonstrate, but that badge is on there. It's not coming off. Okay. And where you can get the tape, I think you could just buy it online, like 3M double-sided high bond or triple bond. It's something like that tape, and it's pretty expensive though. It's like 40-50 bucks a roll. And so there you go. So that badge is on. Now the only thing that's left to do is to press the grommet. So I'm going to take this it's a hardened machine screw with an 82-degree angle on it, and it's going to help to form, it's going to help to form the grommet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, there's 4 washers here, and this is a Ludwig nut off of a Tom mount post. There's my little Ludwig. Let me get rid of this. Can you guys see that okay? Sure can. And I'll get my Allen wrench. Now what I want to do is I don't want to get like all animal on this and crazy. And we're just going to be gentle. I want to be sure that the grommet is going through all the way to the inside of the shell as it should. And I'm just going to lightly. Now one of the things you want to, this is kind of visual and touch. What you want to be sure not to do is to tighten the washers. The reason why I put on multiple washers, I got 4 washers on this, is to keep the first washer that's against the grommet. I don't want it to spin. So the other grommets or the other washers here in between, I don't care if they spin. So that's one of the things I'm looking for. And you'll notice when you do it is that the washer nearest the nut will spin, and then the second one will start to spin, but the fourth one pretty much stays stationary. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop. I'm going to take off everything here, and I'm going to visually look down this thing, and you know what? This grommet is pretty much placed as it should be. Now this will probably wind up being somewhat of a long video just because this is a little bit of a time-consuming project, or process I should say. You want to be delicate. You don't want to over-tighten it. You just want to tighten it enough so the badge doesn't buzz. Okay, so we'll take this off. I'll drop this down just for the aesthetics of the video. I'm going to go ahead and take off this tape. Okay, we'll throw that tape down. And so there it is. I'm going to look down this thing. Now there's one more step that I've got to do. So there's the badge with the grommet. The grommet's stable. It's not gonna buzz. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from the back side of this now, and I'm going to do the opposite. But what I do now is now there's grommet tools that you can use that are probably more efficient and do a better job, but this does pretty good. I'm not going to invest a lot of money into some kind of contraption or tool that snaps grommets on perfectly. Now what I've done is I've reversed, so I'm going to use the Allen wrench on the outside, and I'm going to go to the Ludwig tool on the inside. But what I'm going to do now is that the grommet's kind of been flared like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 2 washers. I'm going to put the washers on the inside, and what this is going to do is it's going to flatten that flare out and make it more parallel to the inside of the contour to the inside diameter of the drum shell. And that'll pretty much wrap up the video. So now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to hold this tool stationary, the Allen wrench, and I'm just going to turn the inside. Now once again, we don't want to over tighten it. It's all a sense of touch. And when you do stuff like this, always just remember it's not a perfect world, and are things going to be as good as a factory original from Ludwig? Maybe, maybe not, but that's just how things go. Okay, so let's see if I don't know if you could see that. There's the badge right there, the grommet, and the inside, and I'm okay with that. And then there's the badge. What a great project, huh? Now you guys are experts. Everyone, thanks so much for watching the video on this repair. And thanks again to Michael Maurer from Germany, sending me this drum, taking enough confidence in me to do this. And so everybody, thanks for watching the videos. Be cool, everybody, and take care. Peace.